I transmigrated into the role of a villainous cannon fodder obsessed with my brother-in-law. The original ending had him personally sending me to my gruesome death overseas. The system promised I could return to reality if I followed the plot faithfully. So I retracted my claws and played obedient, diligently trying to win over John. During daylight hours, I brought him soups and attentiveness. He'd pat my head, praising my good behavior. At night, I'd release pheromones to test the waters, only for him to frown and inject me with suppressants. As the deadline loomed, I resigned myself to leaving the country forever. On packing day, John blocked the doorway with stormy eyes. He loosened his tie, advancing with dangerous tenderness. "Where's my good boy going, Max? Giving up on seducing me so soon? Would you like to try my new creamy mushroom soup?" I stood at his study door holding a white porcelain bowl, wearing nothing but John's oversized dress shirt. The hem barely covered my thighs, leaving everything beneath dangerously exposed. The system screamed in my mind, "Host, why even ask? Just go for it." According to the original novel, this outfit is John's biggest weakness. I trembled, fingertips whitening around the bowl. How could I dare? John wasn't just my brother-in-law, he'd been my secret crush for years. The man behind the desk glanced up. His gold-rimmed glasses glinted as his gaze swept over my bare legs, lingering only a heartbeat before returning to documents. "Leave it there. No surprise. No questions. Not even a proper look. As if I wore normal pajamas delivering ordinary broth." The system pinged. Target's heart rate shows slight elevation. "Go now." Bare feet chilled against hardwood. I approached as the shirt swayed. "I worked hard on this, John." My voice dripped honeyed submission, precisely how alphas like their omegas. John finally set down his pen. Elegant fingers lifted the bowl without drinking. His scrutinizing stare burned my face. "Max." His tone turned gravel serious. "Proper attire next time." Heat flooded my ears as I fumbled with the hem. "Yes, John." He hummed approval, sipping the soup with deliberate slowness. Adam's apple bobbed. "Tastes good." Warm palms settled on my head, ruffling my hair with practiced indulgence. Our Max Taylor has really grown up and become so sensible. Again with this older brother praising his younger sibling. That's not what I wanted at all. The system was blaring in my mind. "Come on, host. The male lead complimented you. Don't let him keep seeing you as a brother. Go on. Sit on his lap and act cute." The command left me dazed. Sit on John's lap? Isn't this moving too fast? Even if John had always indulged me, would he tolerate such improper behavior? Yet the system's warnings grew increasingly urgent. "Hurry, host. The mission will fail if you hesitate. Failure means elimination." Gritting my teeth, I sniffled dramatically and stomped my bare feet on the cold hardwood. "John, I've been standing so long. My legs feel weak, and the floor's freezing." Before he could react, I plopped onto his lap. The firm warmth of his thighs tensed instantly. Through thin cotton pajamas, I felt his entire body stiffen against me. The air hung heavy for several heartbeats. Being naughty again. John's deep voice rumbled above me, slightly hoarse. Yet the hand that had been resting on documents slid to grip my waist, palm searing through fabric, pressing insistently until I was flush against his chest. My heart hammered as I buried my face in his crisp dress shirt. Snowy pine and something dangerously comforting filled my senses. Then creak. The study door swung open. White tea scent flooded the room. Alex had arrived. In that split second, John pushed me away, not roughly, but with finality. I slid off his lap, landing hard on cold wood. My shirt barely covered my thighs. Pathetic. Alex glided past my disheveled form as if I were furniture. Leaning over John's desk, he planted a soft kiss on his husband's cheek. "John." Honeyed voice. Spring morning warmth. John didn't push him away, just hummed non-committally. I still locked on me. It didn't make sense. Before the marriage, John had doted on me endlessly. Why did everything change after Alex? Straightening up, Alex finally pretended to notice me. He gasped behind perfectly manicured fingers. "Max, darling, must you parade around half-dressed in your brother's study?" Pause. Calculated. "The floor's chilly." Get up before you catch cold? We wouldn't want John worrying. He extended a hand. John caught his wrist instead, pulling him into an embrace that left no space between them. His gaze swept past me, his voice flat and emotionless. Kids will be kids. Don't overthink it. Kids? Overthinking? I sat on the cold floor watching them embrace. John's pheromones completely enveloped Alex, cedarwood and white tea swirling in an airtight dance of perfect compatibility. Meanwhile, I remained the excluded joke outside their bubble. Does John love Alex this much? So much that he won't even let Alex touch me? Am I that repulsive? I stood silently, staring at the pair. John's arms still rested around Alex's waist. That position used to be mine. The sheltering hugs, the indulgent smiles, the special treatment. Alex smiled lazily, draping arms around John's neck in intimate familiarity. His glance at me carried Victor's pity. Now John. That's not fair. The words dripped false concern. Max just presented as Omega recently. His pheromones are still volatile. We should be more considerate. Omega. The label shackled me like invisible chains. Presenting as Omega meant I wasn't just John's adopted brother anymore. It meant becoming gender-defined, vulnerable to claiming and possession. It erected walls of ethics and boundaries between us while Alex, the perfectly matched Omega from an equivalent family, smiled from beyond those walls. I felt John's scrutinizing gaze. Shit, does he think I'm disgusting now? That I'm putting on an act to seduce him? John simply hummed in agreement, not refuting Alex's words. Ice flooded my veins. Of course he thinks I'm some shameless homewrecker exploiting Omega biology to ruin his marriage. Blinking back stinging tears, I stared at the floor. Why, you're right. Alex. My mistake. The words came out choked and trembling. I'll just go to my room then. I fled the study like the devil himself chased me. Abandoning the cream of mushroom soup I'd painstakingly prepared. No one called me back. Only the lingering cedar, white tea pheromones mocked me. My former sanctuary now forever lost. I'm not actually this pathetic. A villain system awakened in me recently, revealing I'm a transmigrator who lost memories. This is some ABO romance novel where I play the jealous brother obsessed with his sibling's mate. The plot demands I seduce John, frame Alex, until eventual exile to foreign slums where roving alphas will. The mere thought of that ending sends chills down my spine. The system offered me the only escape route. If the host successfully seduces the main love interest and accumulates sufficient favor points, they can exit this world early, avoid the tragic death scenario, and return to their original reality. Returning to the real world. That's my only hope. So I have to push through despite the odds. But right now, it seems John really doesn't like me. How could he not? I slump in frustration, unable to pinpoint where I went wrong. John Wilson and I aren't blood related. He found me when he was 8. Back then, John had nothing. A disowned heir of the Wilson family surviving on odd jobs and scrap collecting, literally feeding me spoonful by spoonful to keep me alive, though we starved more often than not. Those days had John's undivided attention. He'd give me the only heated blanket while his lips turned frostbite purple. He'd fight older kids twice his size over turf disputes, returning battered but immediately checking me for scratches. Later, when the Wilsons reclaimed him as their heir, everything changed. Yet he remained absurdly indulgent toward me. High society knew the Wilson heir was utterly devoted to his brother. Finest clothes, gourmet meals. He'd give me the moon if I asked for stars. Even when I caused international scandals, he'd just hold me whispering, "Don't be scared." Then Alex Anderson appeared. The system claims John's being drawn to this main protagonist now. That plot forces are irresistible. Is that true? Can over a decade of devotion really crumble before some fictional main love interest trope? Host. Stop moping. The main couple's leaving for their honeymoon. If you don't act now, you'll die. The system's electronic buzzing drills into my skull like persistent houseflies. Right? The honeymoon. Original plot has me hiring thugs to assault Alex in jealous rage after this. John intervenes. That failed scheme becomes my last act before being shipped off to die. The system warned me insufficient favor points before this trigger means forced compliance with the original ending. Seduction. What else do I have besides my body? What could possibly interest John now? Everything I own was given by him. Now he's leaving. leaving to play house with Alex overseas. If I don't act, I'll be discarded like yesterday's trash after being fished from the dumpster. Panic claws up my throat. No, I won't wait for death. With a resolute breath, I tore off the suppressant patch from the back of my neck. The ripping sound echoed in the quiet room. Years of pent-up omega pheromones surged forth like unchained beasts, flooding the air with the intoxicating scent of magnolias blooming after spring rain. Deceptively innocent sweetness laced with provocative allure. The system had promised alphas couldn't resist this fragrance. It failed to mention how they'd recoil from pheromones not belonging to their mate. How could this possibly increase affection? My trembling fingers opened the velvet box from the system's generous sponsorship. A delicate silver body chain glittered with crystals, cold against my feverish skin. The jewels barely concealed my nipples beneath the translucent chiffon robe, every sway making the gems catch the light obscenely. The flimsy fabric revealed more than it hid. The dip of my waist, the shadow of my navel, everything. Host, stop dawdling. This is your last chance. The system's shrill warning pierced through my hesitation. I inhaled sharply, the cloying magnolia scent thickening. John hadn't moved in with Alex after their marriage, claiming the latter needed seclusion for health reasons. Whether true or not, I clung to this opportunity. The clock showed 9:47 p.m., his habitual post, shower time when alpha senses heighten. My knuckles barely grazed the mahogany door when it swung open. Steam billowed out carrying the aggressive scent of alpine timber. John stood haloed in bathroom light, black hair dripping onto exposed pectorals. His robe hung open, water trails disappearing into the V of fabric. Without his glasses, his piercing gaze stripped me bare. From my face, to the swaying chain on my chest, down to my bare thighs, every inch felt meticulously traced by his gaze. The air froze solid. I could even hear my own thunderous heartbeat. And John's pheromones seemed growing more restless. The crisp pine scent now swirled with whiskey's burning heat. Oppressive. My legs weakened. The magnolia's sweetness trembled like a frightened creature under his dominant alpha pheromones. Max. John spoke. His voice dipped lower than usual, still hoarse from his shower. Something dangerous lurked beneath. He didn't ask why I was here. Didn't scold me for being half-dressed. Just narrowed his eyes at the back of my neck. Took off your scent patch? My pulse spiked. My fingers flew to the exposed gland-burning skin where omega pheromones leaked freely under alpha provocation. Before I could lie, his hand clamped around my wrist. John yanked hard. I stumbled forward, crashing into his room as the door slammed shut behind us. Dim lamplight revealed walls breathing with pine resin intensity. His pheromones thickened into physical weight, smothering me in simultaneous suffocation and exhilaration. Releasing my wrist, John crowded closer. Fingers trailed down to grip my chin, forcing my head up. When I thought he'd kiss me, he suddenly threw me onto the bed. Silk sheets tangled around my gauzy outfit as I struggled to rise. His knee dented the mattress beside me. Bathrobe hem brushing my calf, icy linen against feverish skin. One hand pinned both my wrists above my head. The other retrieved something metallic from the nightstand. I twisted to see cold steel glinting in his grip, an omega inhibitor syringe. No! The bed jangled with my frantic thrashing. John! Don't! Be good! Don't move! His calm baritone contradicted the storm in the room. Steady as a CEO signing documents during market crash, his effortless composure only deepened my despair. As the needle pierced the nape of my neck, I arched my back in pain. The cold liquid flooded my glands, violently suppressing the sweet magnolia scent. Like a nightingale with its throat clamped shut, tears welled up instantly. I bit my lip, but a whimper escaped. The agony wasn't from the needle. It came from the realization that John would rather inject me with suppressants than touch me. This truth suffocated me more cruelly than any drug. Tears soaked into the pillowcase as my eyelids burned crimson with irritation. My heart shattered into crystalline fragments. Why? You were affected too. John lowered his lashes, withdrawing the syringe. His thumb brushed the blood bead on my gland before grazing my fevered eyelid. A dark chuckle rumbled in his chest. Our Max doesn't need to trade his body for favors. His knuckles traced my jawline. Be good. Stop these theatrics. You'd make a terrible trophy wife. Cages don't suit songbirds. I don't remember stumbling back to my room. The cold permeated my bones. Marrow deep. The suppressants worked too well, numbing both my scent and emotions into hollow static. Complete failure. I'm dying. Driven by some mad impulse, I crept into John's walk-in closet, stole his prized whiskey, the forbidden bottle he'd never share, grabbed a crumpled dress shirt still carrying his cedarwood scent, locked myself in, drank straight from the bottle, firewater scorching my throat through choking coughs. The burning almost masked the heartache, curling around his shirt. I buried my face in fading cologne traces until fabric grew damp with tears. Alcohol and medication dragged me under. Through the haze, gentle hands undid my scandalous lace chemise and jeweled chest chain. Cool cotton pajamas replaced them. Bitter liquid pressed against my lips, hangover remedy. I tried turning away, but firm fingers tilted my chin, patiently forcing every dreadful drop down my throat. Sweetheart, just wait a little longer. Wait until I handle everything. Then we'll never be apart again. Okay? In my haze, I thought I heard a murmured whisper. Was it my imagination? Or just an alcohol-fueled dream born from heartache? I tried grasping at that fleeting clarity before sinking into deep sleep. John and Alex's honeymoon was scheduled for next Wednesday. Upon hearing the news, I calmly packed my belongings and requested to move back into the art school dorms. At least there, I wouldn't have to watch my brother and his new spouse being affectionate every day. Nor would I constantly remind myself that I'm the unnecessary third wheel trying to ruin others' relationships. I expected John to object, or at least ask why, like he used to, but he simply paused before nodding. Probably for the best. He said tonelessly, "The campus will be livelier. Staying alone here would be lonely." My heart froze completely. Of course, he's about to go on honeymoon with his beloved. Having his troublesome brother out of sight must be convenient. "Max, your brother actually agreed to let you dorm?" Ryan, my beta roommate, wheeled my suitcase in with wide-eyed disbelief. "I thought he'd keep you housebound forever." True enough. Previously, even being half an hour late would prompt multiple calls from John. Ryan used to joke that my brother wasn't brother complex but a prison warden. Now the warden was granting parole. My lips twisted into a smile more resembling a grimace. "He thinks I should learn independence." Independence? Ryan snorted. That'd happen when hell freezes over. Unless, he lowered his voice conspiratorially, unless newlywed hormones have him too distracted to babysit you? The truth stabbed deeper when spoken aloud. I silently began making my bed. Recognizing my mood, Ryan changed topics. "At least you're spared the lovey-dovey show. Come on, let's hit the town tonight. Celebrate your freedom." I declined. Another time, celebration felt impossible. Turning to him, I hesitantly asked, "Ryan, that joint application for the International Art Exchange Program, is the offer still good?" He froze mid-motion. His hands froze mid-motion. He stared at me intently, a flicker of surprise in his eyes before they lit up with disbelieving joy. "Of course it counts." His voice rose several pitches. "Max, you're actually agreeing to come with me?" When he'd suggested this before, I'd brushed it off completely. Back then, my entire world revolved around John. Leaving him had been unthinkable. But everything changed now. John had Alex, soon to embark on their honeymoon and new life together. Meanwhile, I'd failed my mission and faced being shipped overseas to await death. Voluntary exile beat marching obediently toward that grim fate. "Yeah, I want to go." Ryan nearly bounced off the floorboards. "This is amazing. Max, I'll start researching application materials right now. We'll prepare everything together." The dorm bed felt like concrete. The pillow reeked of unfamiliar antiseptic. Discomfort prickled through me. Since childhood, John had spoiled me rotten, down-filled duvets, custom-molded memory foam pillows. I wasn't just particular about bedding. I craved John's scent. Only the crisp cedarwood aroma from his embrace could lull me to sleep. Now there was only Ryan's steady breathing and occasional car horns outside. The emptiness clawed at my chest. Tossing endlessly, I teetered on the edge of panic. Just as the tension became unbearable. Click. The faint sound of a lock disengaging. Our door swung open silently. Every muscle tensed as I held my breath. Who? At this hour? Campus security? Impossible. Ryan? He snored like a chainsaw. A towering silhouette slipped through the doorway. That outline, it couldn't be. I bolted upright, a scream rising in my throat. A warm palm sealed my lips. Shoo. The deep, familiar rumble vibrated against my ear. Cedarwood essence enveloped me. John. I blinked rapidly, disbelieving. Baby boy. His whisper carried tenderness I hadn't heard in ages. Tears spilled over instantly. Bro. My voice came out thick with congestion and unstoppable sobs. Warm tears soaked John's palm. Crying? John released his hand from my mouth, thumb gently brushing my tear-stained cheekbone. His touch was feather-light. In the darkness, I couldn't clearly see his expression, only recognizing his familiar cedar scent. Why did you come? I whispered hoarsely. To check on you. He stated it like midnight infiltration of an Omega's dorm was perfectly normal. Pervert. But this was my brother. I'd forgive him. Why the tears? He repeated, fingers carding through my hair. Uncomfortable bed? I sniffled silently. Should I admit I couldn't sleep without his scent? Or that I'd panicked thinking he'd truly abandoned me after approving my move out? The words stuck in my throat as I ducked my head lower. John sighed with exasperated fondness. Still clinging to childhood habits at this age. He tugged me against his chest. Through thin sleepwear, I felt his body heat and steady heartbeat instantly soothing my earlier restlessness. Bro, shouldn't you be with Alex? I mumbled into his shirt, yet instinctively burrowed closer. He's asleep. John's palm rhythmically stroked my spine. Came to see if my little one behaved at bedtime. Little one. The endearment prickled my heart even as I craved this intimacy. Sleep. His murmur vibrated against my temple. I'm staying. Emicham. I compliantly shut my eyes like countless nights before. Sweetheart. MMM? I drowsily lifted heavy eyelids. Promise me something. Okay. I'd agree to anything. Even if he demanded my exile abroad. So long as he kept holding me like this. So long as his scent still claimed me. Even temporarily. Don't. John's arm tightened around me, voice turning grave. Leave campus this week. I blinked in confusion. Don't leave campus? Why? Stay on school grounds. Don't go anywhere. Understand? He repeated, his fingers brushing the nape of my neck where no needle marks remained. Got it. John. Good boy. He pressed a feather-light kiss to my forehead. Cool like cedarwood yet smoldering beneath the surface. My heart stuttered. When I woke, the bed was empty. Last night might as well have been a loneliness-induced hallucination. Not even a trace of cedar lingered. Only tear stains on the pillow proving John had been here. He'd come like the wind, leaving fragmented promises and that warning. Don't leave campus this week. Max. Look, our visas got approved. Ryan bounded over, waving his phone. Earliest flights this Saturday. We're leaving then. Saturday? This week? John's words echoed. Why? Did he know something? Or was it just another careless remark? You okay? Ryan nudged me. Aren't you thrilled? We're finally escaping. I pictured the system's grim forecast, butchered overseas by rogue alphas. A chill crawled up my spine. What if John's warning meant nothing? What if staying trapped me in that bloody plot, where he'd personally deliver me to hell? It's nothing. I forced a smile. Saturday works. Campus gates loomed ahead on departure day. Sunlight glared as our rideshare approached. Then a black van screeched to a halt. Musky sweat and cheap tobacco flooded my senses before rough hands yanked me inside. Ryan tried to block them but was violently shoved aside by another person. MMPH. MMPH. A pungent smell flooded my nostrils before everything went black. When I woke again, I found myself tied to a chair. The room was eerily quiet except for my ragged breathing. Where was this place? Who were these people? Would John come to save me? The door creaked open. Measured footsteps echoed through the space as the crisp scent of white tea pheromones washed over me. Alex? What was he doing here? The footsteps stopped before me. Long time no see. Max. His gentle tone made my skin crawl. Alex, what are you doing? I struggled against the restraints, voice shaking. Even I could piece things together now. The earlier incidents, the alphas flanking him. His fingers dug into my chin. I'd planned to let you off the hook. After all, your dear brother John seemed perfectly content abandoning you at that school. His laugh chilled me to the bone. But the system says your villainy points need that final push. Since you moved out and nearly escaped the plotline, well, someone's got to close this narrative loop. Ice flooded my veins. He meant to recreate that scene from the original storyline, the one where I'd supposedly tried to assault him. On cue, my bindings fell away as Alex gasped dramatically. Fabric ripped. Alpha pheromones thickened the air. Stop! Get away! Alex's shrill scream contradicted the smirk twisting his lips. The alphas tore at his shirt, baring pale skin while pinning him to the floor. My entire body trembled with rage. This was all staged, a sick performance to frame me. Stop this! I lunged forward only to get thrown back by an alpha's pheromone blast. Paralyzed on the floor, I watched helplessly as their shadows swallowed Alex's struggling form. Despair clawed at my throat until, bang! The rusted warehouse door was kicked open from outside with an ear-splitting crash. An overwhelming wave of snow pine pheromones flooded the space. Ferocious, wrathful, radiating apocalyptic dominance. The alphas froze mid-action, terror twisting their faces. Backlit by the doorway stood a towering figure in an immaculate tailored suit. His eyes behind gold-rimmed glasses glinted like shards of ice. John Wilson. He was here. His pupils constricted as he took in the scene. The disheveled Alex on the floor, then me. Finally, his gaze locked onto the trembling alphas. Out. A single word, colder than Arctic wind yet carrying the primal authority only a prime alpha could wield. The intruders scrambled away like rats. Silence thicker than blood filled the warehouse. Alex sniffled, clutching torn fabric over his chest as he stared up at John. John. I was so scared. It was Max. My throat tightened, but before I could protest, John strode past Alex without sparing him a glance. He shrugged off his suit jacket, draping it over my shoulders before gathering me into his arms with achingly tender care, as though cradling fractured porcelain. John? I breathed, dazed by his proximity, his jawline tensed, storm cloud emotions churning in his eyes. It wasn't me. I rushed to explain. Alex staged this whole. I know. His voice roughened, thumb brushing my cheekbone. When he pressed his forehead to mine, his snow pine scent enveloped me completely. I'm sorry, sweetheart. The words scraped raw from his throat. I should have gotten here sooner. Alex turned ghost pale. John? He shrieked, face contorting. Can't you see? He kidnapped me. He tried to ruin me. How could you? How dare you protect that monster? John merely adjusted his hold on me, tucking my face against his collar while his jacket shielded me from the hysterics. The calculated dismissal shattered Alex's composure. Why? He screamed, voice curdling with venom. I'm your Omega, the protagonist of this story. We've been betrothed since childhood. I should be the one in your arms. His finger jabbed toward me, trembling with manic jealousy. That imposter stole everything. It's all your fault. You bastard picked up from the garbage. How dare you steal all of John's attention and affection the moment you appeared? My body stiffened as I instinctively clutched John's shirt. John, aren't you curious? Alex suddenly laughed with desperate hysteria. Aren't you wondering why your perfect little brother Max suddenly changed personalities overnight? Why he started using such clumsy methods to seduce you? Because I created a fake system to trick him into believing he's some transmigrated villain who needs to complete missions to survive. Every humiliating task was my design. I wanted him to do everything you despise. My mind went blank. The system was fake? The transmigration? A lie? Alex's voice turned shrill. I knew you hated sycophants and gold diggers. Yes, I wanted you to loathe him, drive him away. Then you'd belong only to me. This idiot actually believed my game was his lifeline. He deserves to die. So this was the truth. I'd been nothing but a pawn in his sick game. Every mission, every plot point, all traps to make me self-destruct. And like a fool, I danced to his tune, doing everything that might make John hate me. No wonder John distanced himself. No wonder he gave me those inhibitors. Such a clever assassination by proxy. Is that so? John's voice could freeze hell. If he deserves death, what about you? He lifted me effortlessly, turning his back on Alex. The game ended the moment you touched him. They sent Alex to some remote island with no cell reception. John carried me straight home from that abandoned warehouse, the home I'd barely left days ago. Now we existed in this heavy silence. The crisis was over. The villain banished. My death sentence lifted. I was safe. Yet this suffocating tension felt worse than any danger. Every cringeworthy memory played on loop. Delivering soup in John's oversized shirt. Sitting shamelessly in his lap. That humiliating chain accessory clinking as I knocked on his door. Had John known all along? Did he watch my pathetic attempts with amusement? Or something darker? I couldn't meet his eyes anymore. John changed too. Gone was the indulgent brother who treated me like a child. Now his gaze burned with something dangerous whenever our hands accidentally brushed. He'd stopped knocking before entering my room. Last night I woke to find him sitting at my bedside, fingertips hovering above my lips, his breathing uneven. When I pretended to stir, he vanished like smoke. The air between us crackled with unspoken words. Every good night lingered too long. Every casual touch left phantom heat. My stolen glances found him already watching. We were dancing along a knife's edge, both terrified of what might happen if either of us pushed, if either of us stopped pretending. Yet he wasn't entirely indifferent. He'd call me for meals punctually, watching until I cleaned my plate. Every night, he verified I'd locked all doors and windows. He even personally changed my bedding, the fresh linens carrying a blend of sunlight and cedarwood. He performed every duty of a good brother flawlessly, yet maintained an infuriatingly restrained distance. Unable to endure the tension, I rescheduled my flight with Ryan. On packing day, John, who should have been at the office, blocked the doorway with stormy eyes. Ripping off his tie, he advanced with dangerous tenderness. "Where are you going, Max? Done trying to win me over?" My passport and boarding pass shredded into confetti behind him. "John, let me explain." "Explain what?" His thumb brushed my lower lip. "Your planned escape? Or those adorable attempts at seduction?" His nose grazed mine as he whispered, "Does your brother not please you? I've been so careful not to touch you, terrified of frightening you away." Heat flooded my cheeks as his fingers found the sensitive nape of my neck. "Those sweet pheromones of yours, were they all lies too?" It was the system," I stammered, tears pricking my eyes. "The system's fake." His gravelly voice cracked. "So the blushes, the hungry looks, those were all acting?" When I shook my head desperately, John's control shattered. He hauled me toward the bedroom, discarding his cufflinks with lethal calm. "Since you started this game, darling, we're seeing it through." I awoke hours later in his arms, faint marks circling my wrists. "Still running?" He murmured against my hair. As I curled deeper into his embrace, John revealed his nightmare. Visions of sending his beloved Max abroad to face poverty and violence. Pushing you away was my pathetic attempt to rewrite that future. The word reincarnation flashed through my mind. "You idiot," I choked out, punching his chest. "Your distance is what would have destroyed me." His embrace tightened possessively. "Never again. From now on, I'll keep you close enough to taste every one of those honeyed pheromones." John kissed me fiercely, his lips claiming mine with desperate intensity. "Never again," he murmured against my mouth. "You're not going anywhere from now on. Are you going to lock me up then?" I teased breathlessly. "MHM." His serious nod surprised me. "With neckties, handcuffs, my pheromones." Heat flooded my cheeks as his thumb traced my jawline. "But first," John suddenly flipped our positions, pinning me beneath him. "We have unfinished business." What business?" My voice caught as he reached toward the nightstand. The wooden box clicked open, revealing 300 meticulously arranged letters. My breath hitched. "Love letters," John clarified, amusement dancing in his eyes. "From a certain puppy who thought she could hide them." My entire body burned with embarrassment. Those pages tucked beneath sketchbooks, slipped between novels, hidden under pillows. All those secret confessions I'd sworn he'd never find. Now. His long fingers unfolded the first creased stationery. Let's calculate exactly how long you've been secretly crushing on your brother. I covered my flaming face with both hands. This was it. There was no escaping this now.